guys, some modifications I've already done to my 2014 Nissan Frontier. So I'm going to walk around the truck, show you what I've done. Now, as you can see, I have already blackened out the front grille with Plasti Dip. It's not a very hard thing to do. It's not a very hard mod. If you just tape off everything in the center, tape off your bumper, and use your Plasti Dip, you're able to take this off if you don't like it later on down the road, and that's the reason that I did that. A lot of people use different types of coatings. Some people use the bed liner coating, and that is an awesome look, but I wanted to make sure that if I wanted to take it off later on down the road that I could. I plan on using the Rustoleum Rough Country, and I'll show you that in a moment. The next thing I did is I added some mud guards, and the reason I did that is because I noticed that on my step treads, when I would come down the driveway, I live on a dirt road, when I come down the driveway, all the mud would get thrown up on my front tread here, and it was just causing a major mess. And I'll put the links and subscriptions on where I bought all these at. And my next plan is to blacken out the emblems on the back and redarken up the plastic, darken it back up to black on the bumper, and I'm going to Plasti Dip that bumper and black it out. Cosmetics on a truck really make it pop. I've actually worked on some decals, and I'm actually going to put decals bottom section, the door. I haven't made my mind up if I want to do the back section or center it up in the front, and then up on the front area right in front of the mirror on the front quarter panel I'm going to have an American flag with a Nissan words underneath it. And I did those in a distress look to just to give it that different look than what I've seen out there on the forums. I added a Rhino roof rack, which I have a basket that I'm going to place on top of that. So guys, hang tight with me, stay tuned, and we will shoot some black on this back bumper. Alright guys, in order to paint the plastic part with this trim and bumper paint by Rustoleum, I did some reviews on this, looked at some of the reviews online, and it's actually a pretty good product. One of the gentlemen that used it did a 2-year review on it, and it stood up to weather conditions on his off-road vehicle, so that's what pushed me towards the Rustoleum product. And I've used Rustoleum paints before, so I know the quality that Rustoleum has with their paint. Like I said, I'm going to tape off as much as I can with this, because even though I am going to go back and Plasti Dip bumper itself, I still don't want a permanent black coat on my chrome bumper if I want to decide to take it off later. You also want to prep the area with some 70% isopropyl alcohol, and all you do on it is just wipe down the plastic, and that's to take off any road grime or anything that is going to cause the paint not to stick to the plastic. And that'll be for your first coat, and we will let it dry for about 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll come back out and we'll put a second coat on it. Guys, that there is coat number 2. As you can see, it looks pretty good. We'll let that dry and we'll peel it off, but that's about all you need is 2 coats. Let it dry real good, and then we'll Plasti Dip the bumper after that top coat gets dry real good. As you can see, it blackened it up, makes it look a lot better. And we'll let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow we will tape up the letters, tape up the bumper that we painted black today, and we will Plasti Dip the emblems in the bumper to make it all match. Alright guys, as you can see, we're prepped and ready to go ahead and do the Plasti Dip on the back bumper and on the letters. When you do your Plasti Dip on your letters, make sure you leave enough room out here so you're able to pull up the Plasti Dip and peel it off, and you'll get a good clean crisp edge on your lettering. So now what we're going to do, we're going to prep this by wiping it down with some rubbing alcohol. Make sure to get anything off the bumper that's going to hinder the Plasti Dip from sticking. And when you do this, guys, you want to use thin coats. Of the Plasti Dip, and you're going to use multiple coats. And I found that there is pretty much the recommendation of most of those who do this on YouTube. And what I'm going to start out with is just your regular Plasti Dip. The regular Plasti Dip I'm going to use on my emblems, the bumper. I'm going to use this as like a base coat, and my final coat will be rugged base coat, which I'll show you before I paint it. All right, let's get started with our first light coat. Alright guys, we'll let that dry for about 10 to 15 minutes. We'll come back out and we'll put another coat on it. The first coat we put on, we did an actual direct angle. And that's what you want to do when you're doing Plasti Dip. You want to make sure that you cover all the angles on the emblems, especially so you're getting a heavy coat up here. So what you're doing is when you fill all this in, you'll come back up and when you peel this off, it'll give you a good clean edge. So this will be coat number 2. Alright guys, that'll be coat number 2. We'll let that dry for another 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll come back out and we'll spray coat number 3. Alright guys, we're going to let that dry. We'll probably come back and do one more coat of that peel coat with the rugged texture, just to make sure that we get good coverage and a good even coverage on it. Then we'll come back out, we'll pull off all the tape, clean up a little bit, and we'll show you the finished product. Alright guys, that right there is going to finish it up. As you can see, total difference in the way that makes that look. Later on I'll go ahead and I'll black out that Nissan emblem I went ahead and done also the top of the bed liner, darkened it back up, and like I said, it really makes that red pop out on this Nissan Frontier. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in to Risen Sun Adventures. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell for those upcoming events that are coming up with the 2014 Nissan Frontier mod. We're going to add fog lights, we're going to do a 3-inch lift, and much, much more. But guys, remember, the sun is always shining, even in the rain. God bless you. Have a good one. Stay safe. And always keep looking for the sun.